Reserve Bank of India and rural credit. That is how the Reserve Bank of India plays a major role in providing and credit for the agriculture. Okay, so they maintained an expert staffs, and then they just provide and legal advice to the central as well as to the state government, and then they finance to the rural sector through eligible institutions. The very important why this agriculture credit department which has been started, because the farmers face so much of problems in getting an credit. Okay, so they need, especially they need an medium term as well as an long term. So this type of loan which is not easily available through land development bank. So a great bank which has been introduced, that is an rural agriculture redefined development corporation, that is ARDC. So the major objectives of this bank ARDC is that to provide and credit to the Central Land Development Bank and then State Cooperative Bank and Scheduled Bank. After this, what happens? A regional rural bank which has been established for providing and credit facilities to the farmers. So this bank which has been established by the RBI. So the major share which has been that is major subscribes which has been given by the central bank, that is 50%, and the remaining 15% which has been given by the state government, and then 35% which has been given by the other commercial bank. So the main objectives of the regional rural bank is to provide and loan facilities for the small and marginal farmers, agricultural laborers, artisans, small entrepreneurs, and then agricultural trade, commerce, industries and other productive activities in the rural sector. Then the main important is that a NABARD which has created, that NABARD has plays a major role in providing an agricultural credit. So the NABARD which has been established by Reserve Bank of India in 1982 July. So NABARD has a three structure. So one is an state cooperative bank, central cooperative bank, and then primary cooperative bank. So next we saw about the functions of the NABARD. So nearly we saw about the 7 functions. The first function that NABARD used to refinance for the small and marginal farmers, artisans, village industries, cottage industries, small scale industries, handicraft and rural artisans. Then NABARD used to provide an long-term loan, medium-term loan and short-term loan for the State Cooperative Bank, RRB and other financial institutions. Then NABARD gives an long-term loan up to 20 years to the state government as well as to the other cooperative banks. NABARD used to give a long-term loan with the approval of the central government. Then NABARD has a responsibility in coordinating the activities of the central as well as the state. Then NABARD has a responsibility to inspect the RRB and cooperative banks. Why? Because NABARD used to provide and loan for these sectors. Then NABARD has maintained a fund, that is a research fund which has been maintained because for the research and development in the agriculture. Okay. Then we saw about the Reserve Bank of India and industrial finance. So the same as it is how the NABARD used to provide an agriculture finance for the rural sector, the same as it is RBI used to provide an finance for the industrial finance corporations of India. So it used to provide and loan for the industries with the same concern. So this was established, that is IFCA, which has been established in 1948 on 1948 on July 1st. So the major functions of this IFCA is that they used to provide an long-term loan both in rupees as well as in the foreign currencies. They used to underwrite and they used to subscribe with equities, preference and debentures issues. The IFCA used to guarantee a deferred payment, that is purchasing and missionaries from abroad, that is imported certain missionaries from abroad. For that also NABARD used to give an guarantee. Then whatever the loan which has been arised from foreign countries or foreign institutions through foreign currencies, the NABARD used to, the IFCA used to guarantee a loan raised in a foreign currency. Next we come to know about monetary policy. Monetary policy means what? Monetary policy is one of the macroeconomics objectives. Okay, so monetary means it deals with the money. So in an economy, that money supply and the rate of interest, how the money supply and the rate of interest should be followed in an economy. So everything which has been controlled by the RBA. Okay, now monetary policy has an two concept. One is it follows an two concept. One is an expansionary and another one is an contractionary. Expansionary means what and contractionary means what? So expansionary means it is a cheap money policy, and contractionary means they are following an dear money policy. So what do you mean by a cheap money policy? Cheap money policy means what? That a monetary authority used to reduce the rate of interest. When RBI reduce the rate of interest in an economy means what happens to the money supply in an economy? So when a rate of interest reduced means automatically in an economy the money supply will be increased. That is, a business people who needs and money for the development or for the production, they needs and money. So if they get a low rate of interest from the bank means it is easily available for them means automatically in an economy money supply will be increased. So if money supply increased, productions will be carried over. So if productions are carried over means automatically productional activities carried over, it generates an employment opportunities, then it generates an income and savings habit among the people. So this will be happen when the monetary authority follows a cheap money policy. So this is called as an expansionary policy. Contractionary policy means that monetary policy following a dear money policy, that is an high rate of interest. When there is an excess supply, when there is an excess of money supply in an economy means automatically the RBI used to increase the rate of interest. So it started to increase the rate of interest means now what happens in an economy? So automatically the excess of money supply will be reduced in an economy. So when they needed most, that is immediately or for emergency purpose, if they needed means people will prefer a loan from the bank. So automatically the money supply will be reduced in an economy. Okay. So next we come to know about types, that is objectives of monetary policy. Okay. So see here the objectives of monetary policy, which it has 6 objectives. One is a neutrality of money. Second one is a stability of exchange rate. Third one it is a price stability. Fourth one it is an full employment. Fifth one it is an economic growth, and sixth one it is an equilibrium in the balance of payment. Okay, now let us see the first one. It is an neutrality of money. So neutrality of money means what? See, the money should be neutral in an economy. There should not be oversupply or there should not be excess supply, or the money supply should not be reduced in an economy. So the money supply should be maintained neutrally. Okay, so this concept which has been explained by an economist like Wickstreet, Hayek and Robinson. These are the people are the chief exponent of neutral money. So these people explains that in an economy there should not be inflation or there should not be deflation. The money should be in neutral, because neutrality, that is the neutral, according to the neutralist, the monetary changes causes an distortions and disturbance in the proper operation of an economic system of the country. That is, the monetary changes could be the root causes for all economic fluctuation. So money is the most important one in an economy. Okay, so if it is an excess supply or if it is a deficit in the supply, definitely it creates an fluctuation in the economy. Okay, next we come to know about an exchange rate stability. So exchange rate stability means what? Exchange rate means that is the money value will differ from one country to another country. For example, Indian currency is just starts from 1 rupee. Okay, so our fiat money is starts from 1 rupee. So 1 rupee is the first currency, but when compared to the other country, like when compared to the dollar, the values will be high. So our country currency is starts from 1 rupee, means that US currency will starts from 70 rupees. So $1 will be 71 or 72 or up to 75 it will be reaches. So the currency values will be differ. Okay, so this is called as an exchange rate. So when compared to an other country, not even in a dollar, but also when compared to the pounds or compared to the real, the country's values will be increased or decreased. So see, this exchange rate stability was the traditional objectives of the monetary policy. So the most important one, it is that it is a traditional one. So from the beginning, the currency values which has been high when compared to the other countries. Okay, so this was the main objectives under gold standard among and different countries. So while compared to other countries, the currency values will be changes. So when there was a disequilibrium in the balance of the payment of the country, it was automatically corrected by the movement. So how they will maintain an balance of payment. Okay, so through two methods, one is an expand currency and another one is an contract currency. Expand currency means what? That is credit when the gold is coming in. Contract currency means that credit when gold is going out. So this system will be correct the disequilibrium. So through the gold standard, they are just maintaining the disequilibrium in the balance of payment. So see here, it must be noted that if there is an instability in the exchange rate, it would result in outflow or inflow of gold, resulting in unfavorable balance of payment. So if it is an inflow, means it is an favorable balance. If it is an outflow, means it is an unfavorable balance of payment. So therefore the stable exchange rate are advocated. See here, we have two systems. One is an favorable and unfavorable. So favorable means whatever which just comes in, it is all called as an favorable. Whatever it is goes out means it is called as an unfavorable. If it is gold comes in, means it is an favorable. If gold goes out, means it is an unfavorable. Next we come to know about an price stability. The most important one, that in a country that prices should be stable. It should not be increased or it should not be decreased. Okay, but there should be a minimum increase in the price. Why? What is the reason? Because if there should be a minimum increases, means then only a businessman will be supplying the goods, or else there will not be any kind of supply. So this concept, which has been advocated by an economist like Gustav Cassel and Keynes, suggested this method. So in an economy, price should not be rigidity or price should not be stagnant. Okay, a mild increase in the price level is just a tonic. Okay, as like a tonic. So a mild increase in the price level provides a tonic for economic growth. Next we come to know about full employment. So full employment is the most important one. Okay, so all the countries which needs full employment. So what happens, but during the world depression, it creates a problem of unemployment. So unemployment has been increased all over the world. That is, it's socially, that is, an unemployment is socially and dangerous, economically it is wasteful, and morally it is deplorable. Thus full employment is the main objectives of the monetary policy. So in 1936, a great economist who has published and Keynes theory, general theory of employment, interest and money. So he has explained about and he has given a full support about the full employment. So how to gain and full employment under the monetary policy. Okay, so next one, it is an economic growth. So the another objectives of the monetary policy that that economy should need and growth. Okay, so this economic growth is not a short term, it is a long term plan. So it is a long period plan. So a country should develop, so it implies an increase in the total physical or real output. So how an economy, if it is in a growth, means it explains through the per capita income or physical or real output, production of goods for the satisfactions of human wants. So if this per capita income or production or real output or production of goods which has been increased means, or human wants, whether they want, they get a maximum satisfaction means, then there is an growth in the economy. So this should be achieved in an economy through the monetary policy. Next one, we come to know about the equilibrium in the balance of payment. So there should be an equilibrium in the balance of payment. So there is an unfavorable and favorable balance of payment in an economy. So if there is an export increases means, definitely it brings a favorable balance of payment in an economy. But if import increases means, automatically it brings an unfavorable balance of payment in an economy. So there should be an equilibrium in the balance of payment means that export as well as import should be in an equal. Okay, so these are the 6 objectives of the monetary policy. So again I will repeat. The first one, it is a neutrality of money. So neutrality of money means that this system which has been this concept which has been explained by or given by an Wicksteed, Hayek and Robertson. That is, their main concept is that in an economy that money supply should be a neutral. So there should not be excess supply or there should not be deficit in supply. So money should be in an money supply should be in neutral. Why? Because if it is increases or decreases, if there is any fluctuation in the monetary policy means, neutral in the money means, automatically what happens, it definitely affects the economic fluctuation. Next one, it is an exchange rate stability. So exchange rate stability means the currency values which differ from one country to another country. So this is the one of the traditional and most important objectives of monetary policy. So this has been explained through gold standard. So two concepts which has been used, one is an expand currency and another one is an contract currency. So expand currency means that credit when gold comes in, means automatically currency will be expanded. Contract currency means that gold is going out. So it should be maintained that outflow or inflow of gold should be in a balance of payment. So it should not be in an unfavorable balance of payment. Next one, it is on price stability. So this concept which has been introduced by Gustav Cassel and Keynes. So they have explained about that a price stability is the most important one. Okay, but it should not be increased highly or it should not be decreased. Okay, but price should be increased. Mild changes in a price is a tonic for the economic development. Next one, it is an full employment. So in an economy that all the countries that the country needs and full employment. Okay, but the world depression, during the world depression, all the countries faces an full employment, faces an unemployment. Okay, so a great economist who has suggested in his book which has been published in 1936, that is General Theory of Employment and Interest and Employment, Interest and Money in 1936. So in this he has supported so how to create, how to gain and full employment in an economy. Next one, it is an economic growth. So really there is an growth in an economy means automatically the per capita income will be increased, and then production and physical or real output, everything will be increased. So human will be getting a maximum level of satisfaction if there is an growth in an economy. So the main objectives of the monetary policy that they want to bring in growth in an economy. Next one, it is an equilibrium in the balance of payment. So the economy needs a balance of payment, that is equilibrium in the balance of payment. That should not be unfavorable or it should not be favorable. So that should be unfavorable in the balance of payment. Okay. Next, we come to know about a recent advancement in the banking sector. So there are so much of development which has been done by the bank. One is an e-bank, and another one is an RTGS and NEFT, and next one is an ATM and Paytm, and fifth one, it is an debit card and credit card. Okay. Now we will see about an e-banking. So e-banking means what? So generally everything it comes to an online banking. Okay, so it is an easiest way for the people to do their transaction with online banking system. So online banking is also known as an internet banking. Okay, so it is easy for the customer and easy for the bank also to do their transaction. Next, we come to know about and very well advanced it is one is an RTGS and NEFT, that is interbank transfer, enables an electronic transfer of funds from the account of remitter of one bank to an account of the beneficiary maintained with the any other bank branches. See, the fund can be, that is the main account, that is one person who is having an account in one bank means the fund can be transferred from the other bank also. So this has been done through two process, one is an RTGS and another one is NEFT. So these two which has been maintained and controlled by the RBI. So the working hours and the settlement, that is from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. even on the Saturdays also it will be working. Okay, so all the credit transactions which has been carried from 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. For the transaction, if it is not completed, it means even it can take some time from 6:30 to 7 p.m. also. Okay, so next we come to know about an ATM. It is an automated teller machine. So it is a very well advanced one. So ATM transfer, the bank tech system when they were first introduced in 1967. So this ATM which has been introduced in 1967, the next revolution in the ATM is likely to involve a contactless payment, that is without an contact. Okay, before whatever we need an amount means we have to go to the bank and then we have to fill the withdrawal slip and then only we can able to take. But nowadays what happens, it is very simple and easy. So no need to go to the bank. It is easiest way to withdraw money through ATM. So it likely to involve in contactless payment. So much like Apple payment or Google Wallet, soon will be able to contactless ATM transaction using an smartphone also. So through now so much of systems which has been used through smartphone also, we can able to take money. Next, Paytm Bank, which has been established, which has been started in August 2019 with the license received and license from RBI. Okay, so the major share of this Paytm is that is the founder is Vijay Shekhar Sharma. So the major share is 51%. And 197 communication which hold in shares of 39, and they himself provides a subsidy of 10% shares. Okay, next we come to know about a debit card and credit card. So we all know about a debit card and credit card. So debit card is a card allowing an holder to transfer money electronically from one bank which makes an purchase. So where we have an account through that bank, we receives a debit card. So through that card we can able to purchase certain commodities. We can withdrawal amount from the bank. So it is from the saving account they have given. So that is called as an debit card. Credit card means that it is an card which has been received, issued to the payment, issued to the user. Okay, so the bank itself used to issue an card to the user. So with a minimum amount carried over, and they have given a list of shops they can purchase their goods and service through that card itself. Okay, but what happens? So see here, recent issues, that is while getting this credit card, so much of problems which has been faced by the bank, because the people can't able to repay the amount which has received. So see here, nearly has now NPA is estimated to be around 10 lakhs crores. As a result, the bank do not have an adequate capital. So much of amount which has been adequated. Okay, so hence the government of India is forced to infuse the capital to the bank by using and poor taxpayer money. Already more than sum of 2 lakhs crores have been injected during 2018 to 19. The government of India has infused totally 68 crores in the banking system. That NPA ultimately affected the common people, that is by providing this credit card system. Okay, so the bank can't able to get that amount back. So nearly 68 crores which has been injected. Okay, next one, it is a merge of bank. So mergers of bank means they have connected so many banks. So nearly in 2017 so many banks which has been merged, that is 5 associated banks which has been merged, that is 5 associated, and Bharatiya Mahila Bank have become the part of the State Bank of India. So see here, beginning of April 1st to 2017, this has placed the State Bank of India among the top 50 bank in the world. So 5 associated banks that were merged are State Bank of Bhincar and Jaipur. So see this. So what are the banks which have been merged? It is, one is in State Bank of Hyderabad, State Bank of Mysore, State Bank of Patiala, State Bank of Trivandrum, and other 2 associated bank, namely State Bank of Indore and State Bank of Saurashtra, has already been merged with the State Bank of India. Okay, so after the merging, the total customer base of SBI increased to 37 crores with a branch network around 24,000 and around 60,000 and ATM across the country. So totally network branches increased and ATMs also increased. So next we come to know about a money market and capital market. Okay, so money market means what? So money market means it deals with the short term fund. Okay, that is loans which are borrowed and receives a deposit. So here they used to deals with purchase, sale and transfer of short term credit instrument. So example of money market are commercial bank, acceptance house, non-banking financial institution and central bank are the institution catering to the requirement of short term funds. So the commercial bank and other, these are all deals with the short term funds. But when we comes to the capital market, it deals with the long term instrument, like it deals with the shares, bonds and debentures and other long term investments. Okay, so see this, the market where the investment instruments like bonds, equities and mortgages are traded is known as a capital market. So it deals with the long term like shares, bonds and other long term investments. But money market, it deals with the short term funds. So it deals with the purchase and sale and transfer of short term credit instrument. So example of money market is that commercial bank, acceptance house, non-banking financial institutions and central bank. Okay. Next we come to the most important one. It is an demonetization. Okay. Very popularly this which has been introduced, that is on 8th November 2016, the Indian Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi announced the demonetization of all 500 and 1000 rupees bank notes of Mahatma Gandhi series. So see here, this is the most important one, that they have banned 500 and 1000 rupees. Why? Because, so what is the reason? That is, see the objectives why they have demonetized this 500 and 1000 rupees. Because removing of black money from the country, that is most of the money which has been hoarded. Okay, so for that purpose, to removing a black money from the country. Second one, stopping the corruptions, because it is, that is 500 and 1000 rupees, it is an easy cash which it has been corrupted all over our economy. Next is stopping and terror funds. So the most of the amount which has been transferred for the terrors. Next one, crubbing and fake notes. So this is all the major objectives why this 500 and 1000 rupees which has been demonetized. Okay, so up to this the lesson is over. Just a recap what we saw today. So today we saw about the monetary policy and its objectives. So monetary policy means what? See, monetary policy means that in an economy how the money supply should be controlled. That is monetary policy, it deals with the money supply and the rate of interest. Okay. Then the major objectives of the monetary policy is that neutrality of the money. So in an economy the money should be neutral. So this which has been introduced by Wicksteed, Hayek and Robertson. Okay, so in an economy, monetary authority main aim that they have to follow the neutrality of money. So there should not excess of money supply, or there should not be deficit in the money supply. So if there is an fluctuation in the monetary means automatically there will be, it creates an fluctuation in the economy. Next objectives is that exchange rate stability. Exchange rate stability means it is a very traditional objectives of the monetary policy. Why? Because that is the currency rate which are differ from one country to another country. So in an economy, so we have to follow an equilibrium in the balance of the payment. So here they have explained about the gold standard. So under gold standard they have explained about the expand currency as well as an contract currency. So see this, if there is an outflow or inflow of gold will result in an unfavorable balance of payment. Next one, it is an price stability. So the economists like Gustav Cassel and Keynes, who suggested that in an economy there is price should not be increased too much, or the price should not decrease. So but a mild changes in the price, it just brings a tonic, it is an tonic for the development of an economy. Next one we saw about an full employment. The most important one is that all the countries, the main aim is that they want to reduce an unemployment. So under this Keynes general theory of employment, interest and money in 1936, the main objective is that to gain an full employment. So this theory supported to gain an full employment. Next one, the main objectives of the monetary policy is that economic growth. So economic growth means that is a person real capita should be increased and human wants should get a maximum level of satisfaction. If it is increased means automatically there will be an economic growth in our country. Next objectives of the monetary policy is that equilibrium in the balance of the payment. So the main objectives of the country is that to maintain and balance, that is equilibrium in the balance of the payment. So that should not be unfavorable or that should not be favorable. So it should brings and balance in the payment. Next, we saw about the recent advancement in banking sector. So nearly five advancement which has been taken by the banking. One is an e-banking. So it is an very new and updated. So all the things which has been connected through internet. Okay, because for the easy access of the customers as well as for the bank to do their transactions. Next one, we saw about the RTGS and NEFT. RTGS and NEFT, which has been controlled and maintained by the RBI. So we can transfer the account from one bank to another bank. It is a very easiest method. So the working time which has been extended from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. So the credit transaction can be easily done. So if the transaction is delay or anything else, so again it can extend the time from 6:30 to 7 p.m. So next one, we come to know about an ATM, so automated teller machine. So this which has been introduced in 1967. So the most innovative, that is through ATM we can withdraw or whatever we can do, that is we can take an money through ATM itself. So no need to go to the bank. Okay, now a recent one, through Android mobile phone also we can use to do the transactions. So through Apple Pay or Google Wallet, so ATM becomes so easy that ATM transaction by using smartphone is very easy. So the amount can be transferred from one account to another account. So next one, it is an Paytm. So this was licensed by RBI. So this has been introduced in August 2015. So the founder of this Paytm is Vijay Shekhar Sharma. So the shareholder of this is 51% and 197 communication shares is 39, and they also provide 10% of subsidy also. Next one, we come to know about a debit card and credit card. So we all know about a debit card. So debit card means through our savings we receive a card, that is called as a debit card. So we can withdraw at any time wherever we want. So it is an plastic card and electronically it has been used. Next one, it is an credit card. So it is a card of payment issued to the user. So the bank itself used to give this type of card. So it carries money, but a certain amount which has been given to the card user, and then certain shops we can purchase our goods and service, that also will be mentioned. Next one, then we saw about the money market and capital market. So money market means it deals with the short term funds, and capital market means it deals with the long term investment. So all purchase, sales and transfer of short term credit instrument here has been done. So the example of the money market are commercial bank, acceptance house, non-banking financial institutions and central bank. When it comes to the capital market, so capital market is a part of a financial system. So it deals with the shares, bonds, equities and other long-term investments. Next we come to know about an demonetization. So this which has been introduced by our Indian Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi on 8th November 2016. So they have announced that demonetized all 500 and 1000 rupees notes. Why? Because to remove the bank money from the country. So removing and black money from the country, stopping of the corruptions, and then stopping the terror funds, and then crubbing and fake notes. Okay, so up to this the lesson is over. In the next class we will see about a new lesson. It is an international trade. Thank you students.